Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about National Pen. This is prepared by Hannah Baldwin. I went to Job Shadow National Pen, which is a pen company that is located here in Shelbyville, Tennessee. I job shadowed for about 2 to 3 hours and I learned a lot. Their supply chain is very big and very important for this company. Now we're going to talk about planning for National Pen. National Pen uses planning. They use a forecast Excel sheet to keep up with their stock and how much they're going to use for the week. Operations, which is the machines that they're using to make the molds. This is planning because they must program the machines to make a certain number of molds for the order. Operations must plan what they're going to run for the week. Planning is like sourcing for National Pen because they are getting the orders ready for Mexico and Canada. Now that we're on the topic of sourcing, National Pen does use sourcing. This includes sourcing materials, components, and finished products from international suppliers. National Pen also emphasizes ethical and responsible sourcing, requires suppliers to adhere to a code of business conduct. An example of sourcing for National Pen is they must ship their molds to Mexico. To do so, they must package and put them on a pallet and apply a skid sheet on the pallet to show what the boxes are and what's in them and how many items are on the pallet. This is an example of material sourcing. An example of a skid sheet: it has the SKU number, part description, box quantity, boxes of items, total quantity, box weight, unit weight, total pounds, and the date on these skid sheets. Here's the example of a skid sheet. Now that we're on the topic of making, after walking through the factory, I learned that these machines are doing all the making for their products. National Pen utilize manufacturing as a core part of its supply chain. They produce and custom products for small businesses, which is promotionally for these small businesses. Examples of making: the Shelbyville factory makes the molds and the ink. These items go in the inside of the pen. The Mexican factory makes the rest of the pen. An example of the machine making the molds is the machine heats the materials to mold for the pens. The heat is set at 500 degrees and gets the materials that make the molds. And this machine has to be maintenance monthly and weekly. An example for the ink and how it's made: the ink machine makes the ink. You load the machine with these white cartridges and it drops the ink in them, and it also applies a point at the end. It is a very quick process, and this machine is maintenance weekly. Delivery and return for National Pen. National Pen uses both delivery and return options as part of its supply chain. National Pen uses shipping carriers like FedEx, UPS, and USPS for the delivery. Now, there's not a set time on how fast you get your delivery. It just depends which shipment method you pick on your order. National Pen does use a return policy. For example, if you have a problem with your pen, you have 30 days to get it refund or exchange with your delivery. Lastly, we're going to talk about supply chain integration. National Pen does use supply chain integration. For example, they manage a global supply chain including sourcing, logistics, and inventory across various countries. More examples are global supply chain management, demand planning, supplier relationship, cost officiation, and technology integration. Overall, National Pen has a big setup for supply chain. They are very organized and everything is set up for success. By taking these steps, which are planning, sourcing, making, delivery and return, And lastly, but not least, supply chain integration. This company is very successful with supply chain, and they always make their customers happy. Thank you.